Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with my guy QP Ski. Q, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm here. That's the most important thing. I'm good, man. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Your boy finally actually feels awake for the first show in probably a week, so let's get right into it. Ryan Day had a press conference yesterday and had plenty to say. It feels like we've been on a drought of information. I saw someone say on the timeline yesterday, it feels like Ohio State has not played in months. And with their dominant start to the season and then a bye week immediately, it feels like we haven't seen Buckeyes play since last year, especially when it comes to a meaningful game. Blowouts the first two games of the season, a non-conference schedule that is reminiscent of the Michigan schedule last year that we talked about being so easy. So, Q, plenty to talk about today, but how you doing and what national news do you have us to get into before we start talking about the Buckeyes?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Good morning, everybody. Shout out to Dylan, first one in the chat, holding it down, ready to go. He's up early and ready. I don't know if we quite are. but Glad to see somebody is. But yeah, man, we're in here. So let me see. First order of business. If you're on Twitter, go ahead and like and retweet the video. It's going up there, especially if you're in the community, so people can see it. And then if you have podcasts or Spotify, which I'm sure you got one of the two, get over there and give that a 5-star review, or send it to somebody who just needs some audio in the morning to get up and wake up and get moving, especially if they can't watch and they're like, it's too much good looking on screen. I just need some audio. I need something that won't distract me. You can find it over there. So do all that stuff like if you're on YouTube, and let's get to it. So the first thing I have up is the new betting favorites to win the college football playoff. We have the graphic for that. There we go. So let's run down it here. So Ohio State now pops up at number one. No, Georgia was up at the top for a little bit. Georgia is second at plus 370, so a little juice on that, followed by Texas at plus 550, which I say right now is probably a better bet if you're planning on the odds. Alabama at fourth, Oregon at fifth, Ole Miss at six, Tennessee seven, Miami 8, which is kind of crazy to me still, Penn State at 9, and USC at 10. Ron, look at the odds. Anything you're like, dang, this got some juice. I might have to put something on that.
No, Penn State would be an absolute donation. But it's cool to see them get the recognition. It makes you wonder, like, why don't they just use the betting odds as the rankings? Because if anyone cares about their money or getting this right more than anyone, it is Vegas. I think they have the right idea here with the Buckeyes as the overwhelming favorite. Maybe Texas a little bit there. I would say Texas is right up there, right in the odds of Georgia and Ohio State. Maybe they're bigger believers in the Buckeyes and Bulldogs defense more than Texas. But yeah, man, the top three looks about right. Honestly, the top four, I think Oregon's a little high. That's looking more like a donation too with the way they've been playing. But they also started to get it rolling this past week, so maybe those odds start to climb. But it's good to see the Buckeyes get some love somewhere, at least as the top team in the country.
Yeah, I'd say Old Miss at plus 1,200. That's got some juice on it. The way they played these first couple weeks, you had to believe they could go into Texas or Georgia and have a chance at that game. So maybe that's something I'd be like, all right, I might throw a little 20 on that, see what happens. But yeah, I think anything down at the bottom is kind of a donation. I don't know. We up here talking crazy. Penn State might come out, blur everybody, be right there.
They didn't blur Bowling Green, so I think everybody's pretty safe there.
It might just look crazy. But yeah, so that's the current odds up there. So get your money in while you still can. Moving on, semi Ohio State news. Kind of. We've never had a opposing coach really talk about Ohio State in press conference that we've picked up, but this one was pretty funny. So Marshall head coach Charles Huff said he looked at the Ohio State game tape. He's like, those guys are pretty fast over here. We got some if they want to move down a level, we got the all you can eat buckets and biscuits NIL offer for you. So those guys like biscuits, well, I'm sure some of the Ohio State players do. They can come on down at the end of the year. What did you think when you saw that clip?
I thought it was hilarious, and I mean, he went on to continue to give the Buckeyes a ton of praise. He talked about some of the players that he recruited when he was at Alabama, just understanding the talent level at Ohio State. He said it was the best team he's seen on film, better than the 2021 Alabama national championship team. So that's high praise for the Buckeyes, and then also acknowledging the fact that hey, maybe not all of you guys are going to stick around there, and we'd love to have you there at Marshall pitching their NIL and letting people know, hey. I don't know if we don't got Lamborghinis like Texas, but we do got unlimited biscuits if y'all
It's
like to eat.
biscuits.
So to just see him acknowledge how good this Ohio State team is before the game, it just speaks to what people are seeing on film with a trained eye. So it's super exciting to hear that even coaches outside the Woody believe what they're seeing out of the Buckeyes, and it has to be reassuring for Ryan Day of what he has built as far as a team.
Yeah, so if he moved that offer also to journalists, can we throw Marshall in the pregame in the pre-show every day and get that deal? I'm just wondering out there if he's watching. So I can use some all you can eat biscuits here. So
Right? They got coffee there.
I would say some news, the game pick, some updates every show. And we could get that over here. So tell Coach Huff we out here. Let him let him know we could help him out. Okay, this is the one I really wanted to talk about. So Tennessee is talking about adding a 10% talent fee to their tickets. They said they want to do it to raise money to actually help the players in the NIL. My first question to you, Ron James, is this fair or foul in the world of college football?
Yes. I mean, it is fair and it's foul. I mean, it is absolutely fair as in, yes, go ahead and do it, and it's a great way to make money. It's foul that the people of the NCAA continue to pass the buck of the bill of paying players to the fans. There's been a whole economy set up and built off the back of these players of people sitting in cushy offices at conference offices and NCAA offices and this whole infrastructure around this sport where they've had to find ways to blow this money because they were ready to spend it any way but giving it to the players. And now they find a new way. We have all this ticket revenue. I believe Tennessee had 31 million in ticket revenue last year, and instead of saying, "Oh, let's take a percentage of that and give it to the players," it's like, no, we've already decided we have plenty of people who we have to keep in their nice houses and driving their nice cars and paying them lots of money. So we're not going to take any of that money and pay the players, but we will charge the fans an extra 10%, and I'm fine with it. And I had this conversation with Cam and Des yesterday. The Buckeyes, as far as having a conversation about affordability of tickets for regular Buckeye fans and everyday Buckeye fans, went out the window 15 years ago. They priced out the everyman from coming to the shoe and going to the games. That's why you see such cheap tickets for the spring games. So the Buckeyes should hop on this trend immediately because it's not already like the tickets aren't affordable for everyday fans. So add a 30% surcharge on that thing and really run this money up because the ticket affordability conversation is long gone. So if they want to go all in on making money for this NIL, jack those ticket prices up because I promise you the Buckeyes make more than 31 million in ticket revenue for their athletics.
I was like, yeah, that was my current question. If we would apply this to Ohio State, them adding another 10% ticket fee on top of what they already have with they've been talking about it for years, how expensive tickets are. And I do think that in some way it goes into the atmosphere of Ohio State. We talked about it year. You look at some guy across the country, and I have not been to every other game. I have not been to the shoe, so I don't know how it compares to a Georgia or going to play at a LSU. But I would think the higher price you put the tickets, maybe the less affordable you make it for, fans to come in and help the atmosphere a little bit, you're going to get more people who are like kind of, we call it what, that country club atmosphere
The
that you
wine and
have.
cheese crowd, bro. The North
Yeah.
Carolina basketball crowd. It's the we love this team, but it also costs us a lot of money to get in here, so I'm not standing the whole time.
Yeah. I love this team, but I also am rich and 60. So expect
Yeah.
me to yell because I got to go run a business tomorrow. So I do think it somewhat does affect the atmosphere in that, and that would be the worry, especially because they make so much money year after year, especially with this revenue, that it could some way come out of that, or some other form of pulling another 10%. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, man, and we talked about this a little bit last week, and people talked about wanting a DJ in the shoe and all of these changes, and it's like it's not the target audience at Ohio State. It is a very tradition rich program. A lot of people that have been tailgating for years, a lot of people there with families, a lot of alumni. It's just not this ruckus SEC environment. And I don't think changing it necessarily is going to appease the crowd there. I think for the most part, most fans outside of I guess younger fans that want to hear Mo Bamba and on third downs for the most part like the stadium experience. And if that's what keeps the seats filled, keep it going. But applying a talent fee, I don't think that would turn Buckeye fans off too much. Someone mentioned most people that are able to acquire Buckeye season tickets or Buckeye tickets at face value are people that are either season ticket holders or people that can afford to go to these games, and an extra 10%, 15% really won't deter that, especially because most Buckeye fans have to get their tickets off a secondary market with a surcharge anyway. So I would love to see this talent fee come to the Buckeyes.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I don't know if I plan on going too many games, so I ain't paying it. Good luck, y'all. Just messing around, but yeah, we will see. But I thought this was funny, and I read this I read this right before as well. You were like, "Why are you laughing?" So shout out our guy Tony Kerdman. He said Tennessee introduces a talent fee to ticket prices. Florida will soon introduce a buyout fee.
Billy Napier, I believe I heard the buyout currently sits at $26 million. Your guy, Mike Norvell, 65 million buyout. Do
That's
you
just
think we see a
absolutely funny.
buyout fee
Oh
added to
my
the price of
goodness.
tickets?
So start that at that point. We gotta start just naming fees to add on. How'd you buy your ticket? You just got 42 P's. The all you can eat biscuit fee, right under that. So that's too funny. And also Terry threw this in here, so I wanted for everybody in the chat to vote on it. He said over under 1.5 deep balls for Marshall this weekend, given up by Ohio State. So go ahead and vote that in there as we hop into this Ohio State news. Ron, I will let you take it from there. But before we do that, everybody like the video. If you're on YouTube, we try to get to about 50 likes. We've been doing well on that, so continue to do that and appreciate y'all. Again, if you're on Twitter, like and retweet all that good stuff. And also, it's good to see Punk in here after that display Georgia put this weekend. I know he's been hiding out for a couple days, but it's good to see him back. All right, Ron.
Yeah, Ryan Day had a press conference yesterday and had plenty to say. It's something that we talked about a good bit on this show here is Ryan Day's or not Ryan Day, Will Howard's comfortability at Ohio State. And Ryan Day talked about Will's comfort level, talked about him being confident, comfortable, inexperienced. You saw it on Will's face on the sidelines during games, the first two games of the year. The guy looks like he's been at Ohio State for years now. I wanted to ask you, how much do you think that gives Ryan Day confidence on the sidelines and allows him to be confident in the guy that he has out there in the calling plays? Because in years past, it felt like Ryan Day was ready to have an aneurysm on the sideline watching his quarterback play. Do you think this brings a new level of peace to Ryan Day?
I mean, I won't necessarily say a new level. Ryan Day, we know he likes his experience. He like guys who doesn't turn over the ball. That's sort of why he picked Will Howard to come in amongst other quarterbacks that were out there. I think it helps, but also too, I think still we have much to learn about Will and how he's going to play in the bigger games. I mean, your comfort level should look pretty good against Western Michigan and Akron very early on, so we come expect them to play well. But I think that experience also helps with younger guys on the field. And Ryan Day is like, okay, I got a fifth-year quarterback. He's seen ball. He's seen things can go wrong. He's not going to freak out. I think that definitely helps his demeanor and things on the sideline. Also, too, I think we will know in the second part, know a little more. We go to Oregon, we play Penn State, Michigan teams like that. As we get to the harder games, how the quarterback will react to some adversity because we just really haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see how Will's composure plays out as they get to tougher opponents. I mean, Marshall seems to be the last cupcake on the schedule before Big Ten play picks up. I know some of the teams in the Big Ten aren't the greatest at the moment, but still feel like the step up in competition will tell us a lot about this team going forward. And I'm interested to see if Will Howard is able to maintain those three things that Ryan Day described in confidence, comfortability, and if his experience shows. So that'll be something to monitor as this play steps up. I'm not sure exactly if we'll see it against Marshall, but something that we should see here soon as the season picks up. As the title suggests, Ryan Day did discuss the Caleb Downs at running back experience and says he's happy with the depth that they have currently and is thinks that James Peoples is handling the third role well, but hasn't completely rolled out Caleb Downs playing running back. He said it's not needed yet, leaving the door open for him to potentially see snaps at running back. Do you think before the end of the season we see a trick play with Caleb Downs in at running back?
Yes, I do. I would take the over. I remember yesterday we did questions on things we want to learn at Ohio State. I almost put there where is my Caleb Downs walking to Ohio, play gonna pop out. He's been very solid these first couple games, but we haven't quite got that. Oh snap! Caleb Downs is here. Not that big pick six or giant hit across the middle or something like that. So maybe this is, especially early on against Marshall, where it doesn't really matter. Maybe this is going to be our welcome to Caleb Downs, experience of him just taking a pass out the backfield and running for 20 yards or something like that. I think we will see it sometime down the line because I think it just would be fun to see, and I think he wants to get guys involved, and it'd be nice to throw him a bone. And if he's done all that practice in the offseason, you better damn well give him one handoff. You don't got to give him 20. But if you're gonna make him do all that, at least throw one his way. So I would take the over on a Caleb Down trick play or some way to get him the ball coming up soon.
Yeah, he made it. He said yet, so I'm guessing they're gonna pull something out maybe against a bigger opponent. So it'll be
National
interesting to see
championship.
how, yeah, national championship Caleb Downs in to run the Wildcat. um, some other news: the Buckeyes are healthy. Donovan Jackson was a full participant in practice last week and expects to play this Saturday. Ryan Day discussed wanting to get him a full week of practice before having him participate in a game. How excited are you to have a full healthy offensive line? And despite their solid play, they had a game with no sacks already this year. Do you think we could still see another level up with Donovan Jackson returning to the lineup, and Ryan Day also confirmed that Tegris Shabola is the starting right guard going forward?
Yeah, Donovan Jackson is supposed to be the best lineman on the team. I think Seth McLaughlin has played very well coming up here, so maybe he has a little competition for that. But yeah, he's one of the best on the team. It's good to see him get in there. We maybe missed him a little bit in week one, but coming back, the offensive line played very well. They were moving bodies last game, so I expect Donovan Jackson to come in, help out, and shore up that offensive line, and they get chemistry as we go in and start to play some tougher opponents. So I think this is big for the team to stay healthy. So we'll knock on wood. Usually we get a little unlucky. So hopefully we can keep this rolling. Donovan Jackson being back, I think adds experience, number one, that makes I think maybe the best left side of the offensive line in the Big Ten, if not possibly the country. So I think he comes back and we'll submit that with a little bit of game time. And I think this is a big time deal as we get one of our best players on the team back rolling in as we start to hop into conference play in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Ryan Day also mentioned another name, and I'm interested to see how much you think this guy can level up our offense if he's able to become a contributor. Uh, Ryan Day noted that Jelani Thurman is being coached hard and said his attention to detail is improving. That's a guy that we have been clamoring to see. Fits the mold completely when you talk about an NFL tight end, and he's only a true sophomore, a guy that people had high hopes for coming into Ohio State. And in a room that Buckeyes are looking for someone to really take the reins as tight end one, especially with the departure of Cade Stover. Do you think if Jelani Thurman's able to figure it out, this can add an element to this offense that we haven't seen yet? We talked about in week one, the tight ends did not have a single catch. We're still waiting on Jelani's first touchdown. Do you think the tight end room with a level up can add an element to this offense we have not seen yet?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it right before the season started. It felt like it really has to be him. I think he's the only guy at tight end where you can say, okay, I see a pro future with this guy. The other guys are up in the air as far as developing and continue to make plays for this team. So I think it's very necessary, and I think Ryan Day has come to realize like. Yeah, I don't really have much choice if I want to level this offense instead of to get you to play well and play detail ball. So this will still be a tight end by committee. But if you're talking about a mismatch nightmare in the red zone, this guy, or really in anywhere on the field, Jelani Thurman has to be it. He can do things that no other guy at tight end can do. So hopefully we get to see it here, but it's good to hear he's improving. We started to hear that trend of guys when he's like, all right, this guy has to play. Well, now he's paying attention at practice. Now he's blocking a little harder. Now he's stating a little later code. Hey, guy, I need you. Got no choice, so stop BSing. So I think this is very important. And I think as later in the season, if Jelani Thurman can continue to play well, can start to make some big time plays and stay disciplined, I think this offense levels up and is almost unstoppable at that point.
On the defensive side of the ball, Ryan Day discussed the defensive tackles and said that Hero Canoe and Caden McDonald are next up in that defensive tackle room, but also challenged other guys to step up. It seems like a direct challenge to Jason Moore to get his name back in the ring for one of those two deep jobs at defensive tackle. This is a guy who's an absolute physical freak show and someone that we expected to be a contributor here at Ohio State. Caden McDonald and Hero Canoe obviously showing off their talents so far in that defensive tackle room, but Jason Moore seems like the next guy up after them. And with him saying he still wants guys to step up in that room, we talked about how much of a luxury it is for the Buckeyes to be four deep at that defensive tackle position where you don't feel like there's any type of drop off behind them. After Caden McDonald and Hero Canoe, you have Taiwan Malone and Jason Moore behind them, the likely two deep next year for the defensive tackle room. It'll be interesting to see if one of those guys can challenge Hero Canoe or Caden McDonald for more playing time in that two deep and hopefully continue to develop for next year. So that defensive tackle room is as deep next year as it was this current season.
Yeah, I agree. We looked at the defensive tackle room right before the season. We're like, oh, this pretty much should be six deep if all the hype. I mean, Jason Moore was tagged as the prototype for a three tech by our guy LJ. So I expect big things out of him. We haven't seen too much early. I would hope to see it this week because in the next couple of weeks, if we don't see it, we the line. I mean, LJ is one of the better at rotating his guys, but we know the rotation starts to shore up with these guys. So I'm hoping we can get a big player too to be like, okay, this guy needs to have some impact on games as we get into the regular season. I mean, not the regular season, but the conference play. So looking forward to see it. Also, Taiwan Malone. He's a guy who's extremely talented as well. I've been kind of waiting for his pop, and we've seen him here or there, but I need a little more consistency. But with the way Caden McDonald's playing, it's going to be hard for them to say, oh, we got to get you snaps when he's playing as well as he is, along with Hero Canoe and their Cam's guy as well. So it's a battle for snaps, but I still like the rotation. I still don't mind seeing this go six deep. I mean, the top two are playing extremely well. Probably Caden McDonald right behind that. So I mean, you really can't go wrong with this defensive line room. But I want to see the guys continue to make plays who are a little lower down the depth chart.
Agreed. So that'll definitely be something to keep an eye on. I don't know how much the rotation will go into three deep. as the season continues to go on and these games tighten up. But definitely something to keep an eye on to see if one of those guys is able to ascend. And even if we don't see the three deep, maybe keep an eye on Hero Canoe or Taiwan. I mean, not Hero Canoe, Taiwan Malone or Jason Moore as guys that maybe make an ascension at some point during this season and they start getting in the two deep and make a push for one of those spots. Chip Kelly also spoke to the media yesterday. Our guy Goj said in the chat, can QB mechanics get better? And that was something that Chip Kelly asked Will Howard to address during what they like to call not the bye week, but the improvement week. The things that Chip Kelly asked Will Howard to improve were his pre-snap reads and his footwork in the pocket. Thoughts there?
Yeah, I think the one criticism we had on Will, and I asked it yesterday, was his deep ball a bit, and that goes to his mechanics and being on time with that. Definitely can improve. I mean, Will's played extremely well coming early in the season, but it's not without any sort of criticism. We always can find something to complain about. This is best damn media, for goodness sake. So I'm hoping he can adjust his deep ball a little bit, because I think that will be important later in the season. So we'll see. I mean, Chip Kelly, former head coach, QB coach, now can focus in and really get these guys right. And I think he's done an exceptional job. So I would expect Will to continue to improve as games continue to get played. So I expect a little level up from Will even going on as we get to Oregon. I think he'll be a little better than he's been early in the season.
Will talked to the media as well yesterday and called himself a self-proclaimed film junkie. He even noted that sometimes he watches film in class. I don't know. He said, I don't know if his professors love to hear that, but I do. I mean, watch as much of that film as you want to. It sounds like Will Howard did not come here to play school. So, your thoughts on Will Howard's film habits? And I want to know, how attentive were you as a college student? What did you do to slack off in class when you were in college? Because I have
Oh,
I can relate to Will Howard watching film in college because I was the person that used to take a laptop to class so he could watch Netflix. So
yeah. So first of
if
all,
I was in any auditorium, you can bet your boy had on a hat, headphones, and was watching TV.
oh, first of all, addressing Will Howard before myself. I'm glad he's a film junkie. Glad he's watching. I don't know if necessarily he needs to be watching in class. I'm sure he gets plenty of time in the Woody to help break that down and go over film. But I appreciate his commitment. And the last time we had a quarterback here that wasn't here to play school, a natty came with it. So
I'm
maybe
just saying, man.
less school, the better. So I appreciate his commitment. Do it during class breaks. So we don't get to the playoffs. Oh, well, Howard
All
isn't
right, mom.
eligible. He's been watching film instead of taking his math test. We certainly don't need that. But but that's good to hear. As far as myself, yeah, I was not the go get a 4.0 guy. I was a have a 3.1 and have a good time in college. I think the most I BS in class was I didn't have a lot of night classes in college, so I finally got hit with one. I think my second year, and I was like, it was Thursday, and it was like 8 o'clock. It was like 8 to 10, and of course, Thursdays in college, that's the day you go out. So, and I had a
I
BS.
mean, really? I think any day that ends in Y is the day that you go out in college.
Well, that was the main one. You knew everybody you wanted to see out was going to be out that day. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna, this is not my fault that they put my class Thursday at 8 p.m. This is their fault. And I don't want to miss the pregame, so I'm gonna start early. So I used to take a water bottle and I used to get like a clear wine and just like pour it in and just pour the whole bottle in, like taking it to class. So by the second hour of class, yeah, don't ask me no questions or nothing. And I'm probably leaving early to make sure I make it to pregame on time.
I left a water bottle in a buddy's fridge one time in college. He called me after class, like, who left that bottle of vodka in my fridge? I took it to my lecture. and took a giant swig and couldn't spit it out because I'm in an auditorium. And then after I just gulped a giant mouthful of vodka, I was like, well, fuck it. I'm already here getting drunk. I might as well finish it. And he's like, now I'm sauce walking home from my night class.
Oh. A water bottle is one of the more dangerous things in college. You
Absolutely. You have no
never know
idea
what's going to be in
what
there.
could be in there.
It's a toss up. It might be water. It might not. This guy's got me quite a few times. So
I mean,
I
shit. You did our old asses back. You take a random bottle of water. You don't know if that shit's Molly water. You're gonna be in class sweating your ass off like you're at a rave or something.
Oh yeah, there's some, but yeah. Oh man, I BS a lot in college. I will not admit, but it's led me to where I am now. So no regrets spelled wrong.
I don't want to throw your company under the bus, but
Yeah, that's nothing to do with me.
it might explain some things.
Yeah, they gave me one job. That's not my job.
One thing I wanted to talk about before we get out of here, something that we talked about a year or so ago, was there was a proposal for a new hockey arena at Ohio State. A $2.7 million facility was proposed to the board of trustees, and the initial plans had groundbreaking scheduled for June 2024. We all know June has come and passed. The Ohio State women's hockey coach recently spoke with the media after Chip Kelly and noted that Ross Bjork said that they're getting a stadium, they just don't know when. You surprised that the $3 million hockey facility has been delayed? And do you think that has anything to do with the new athletic
Yeah,
director?
that has everything to do with Gene Smith not being here. You know what? Y'all are lucky. There would be a hockey fee on those Ohio State tickets if Gene Smith was still here. They are getting that built.
Actually, I think there was. I think it was either Doreen or Emily noted that there was a stadium fee on the tickets last year. I'm not sure what those fees. Doreen had it right here. Yeah, a stadium fee on the tickets last year. I'm not sure what that went to, but if anyone in the chat knows, yeah, we did have a stadium fee on the ticket. So Ohio State season tickets holders are no. They're not new to these fees tacked on to the end of ticket prices.
Oh man, well, yeah, I think that is a direct Ross Bjork addition. Like, hey, like before we spend these millions of dollars, let me make sure it's going to the right place. So I am a little bit surprised him that it was already in the plans, but it does show a change in Columbus. Like he said, football will be king. We know there could be things around the facility that they can do a little better. We know the stadium can definitely use some work here and there. So I would expect to come a little more where other sports have to play second fiddle
To
to
clean the
Ohio.
stadium is what the stadium fee was for. It makes
You know,
Q. Do you? I mean, you went to a state school? State school? No, private.
no, it was a state. It's a state school, but there's no
Okay.
football team.
I'm sure at one point during your time, it's like you see those videos of kids when they get their first paycheck and see taxes for the first time. They're like, what the? My check said $800. You guys only have five here. Where's the rest of my money going? It feels like when you're looking at the fees list, when you're when you're looking at your tuition, you always hear tuition and fees. You ever look through the list of fees and the shit that you're paying for when you go to a university, especially if you live on campus? Like they hide so many random fees in there. Not
Yeah.
what 40,000 something undergrad students at Ohio State. We can't sneak like maybe a $30 NIL
Well,
fee into the tuition.
right, I'm saying there was man the stuff when I used to get like the rest of my loan after like they dish it out for a semester. I'm like, dang, these classes sure are expensive. I ain't even bought books yet. Like the books ain't even come with it. So yeah, I certainly believe they could throw some fees in there and get a new stadium built, get a hockey stadium, get a new facility, Lamborghinis for the team, all of that stuff in there. So I'm sure they can definitely throw that in there and get some things done rather than putting it to the fans who are already paying high enough for season tickets.
Definitely feels like Ohio State NIL is moving in the right direction. We know that we have officially made it when you see all the videos of people talking about no matter where you go, there's a there's a you want a tip menu. Like you finish using the ATM and it's like leave a tip question mark. Like no, taking my money. What am I tipping you for? But
It's a
like I would
Chipotle.
like to if we could replace all of the would you like to leave the tip with would you like to donate to Ohio State NIL on any cash register anywhere that you're checking out in Columbus? There should be an option to donate to NIL, just like there is an option to tip. Like right after you decide to tip, it's like, well, would you also like to give to the NIL collectives?
Ah, yes, I love good Saturdays. I will, good sir.
I definitely would not like to see Seaball Saturday ruined, so I will donate.
You like Jeremiah Smith? He's pretty good, right? Yeah, go ahead and throw that extra dollar on your Chipotle order.
Would you like to see Jeremiah Smith still in Ohio State next year? Donate $5 to help that
you,
happen.
you know, free agency is coming.
But that's all I have in the show notes, man. We appreciate everybody for
Yeah.
tuning in a little
Hey,
bit
Ron,
late
I,
today.
I
Oh,
had a, I had a, I had a quick question for you. We had talked about Will Howard before, and obviously the up in competition to see how he will play in the bigger games. We talked about Ryan Days, talked about experience and comfort level. We know he played at big time games at Kansas State. But also too, it was at Kansas State where there isn't exactly the pressure to win those big. You go to a Texas, people don't expect you to win. They're like, like if you lose, it's all good. Do you expect it to be different now at Ohio State when you go to Oregon? If you don't win, it's not going to be very fun in Columbus, or if you go to Penn State or Michigan, where have you. So, do you expect it to be different and him having to kind of adjust to that newfound pressure at Ohio State?
I feel like he'll only understand the newfound pressure if he loses. I feel like he's gonna be in a similar mode that he is now, as far as like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing it, I'm getting the job done. Everybody's telling me I'm great. Everyone's patting me on the back. There hasn't been a ton of criticism of Will Howard. Everyone's been uh, pretty excited with the signing for the most part. And then with his play, I think he's exceeded most people's expectations. So as long as he continues to perform, I don't know if he's able to continue to win out, he might not ever feel the true pressure because the pressure to win at Ohio State is one thing. The pressure to correct things after you lose is a whole different animal. So while I think the pressure at Ohio State's different, I feel like it's most amplified or magnified when the Buckeyes are losing. So as long as they're winning, I feel like he won't feel the true brunt of it. And if the Buckeyes achieve their goal of going 15-0 this year, Will may never feel the true burden of being the Ohio State quarterback because the fire under their seat, there's no hotter seat in America than a losing Buckeye quarterback. So I I think that as long as Will stays on schedule and is able to continue to win like he is, he may never actually truly feel the pressures that other quarterbacks at Ohio State felt. CJ Stroud lost to Oregon early. Obviously, Kyle McCord has lost to the team up north. Justin Fields has lost in the playoffs. All of these quarterbacks have dealt with expectations after losses. Will Howard is on a trajectory, fingers crossed, he may never have to experience that.
Fair enough. Hope for spring break forever.
Fingers crossed.
All right, that's all I
But
got.
we appreciate everybody for tuning in here. If you enjoyed today's episode and you want to hear from us more, Chris Drew and I will be live at 5 p.m. in the Bleacher Report app previewing the Marshall game. So if you're interested in that, make sure you download the Bleacher Report app and check us out there. And Mike will also be live on the channel tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for the Fans Edge. Make sure you check that out. Q, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, appreciate everybody coming through. The chat is bumping per usual. We got some people in here, so make sure if you're here on YouTube, you like that video before you get out of here. It's greatly appreciated if you come in after we talk. You got any question or anything? Hit those comments on YouTube, man. I'm usually up there seeing what the people have to say. Shout out to the box score boys that be in there from time to time. If you want to find me, man, I'm City Boy Quentin on Twitter. Flying at Johnson, both Instagram and TikTok. And Minor League Films on YouTube and TikTok if you're into movies. Ron.
Yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TES. You can find us weekdays here for the Buckeye Roast at 8 a.m. You could find me Saturday on the Menace Sports platform for the Best Damn pregame show. And Sundays here for Buckeye BS. Make sure you check us out on Bleacher Report and all other platforms because we're all over the place. Like Mike said, BDMG Takeover. We appreciate everybody tuning into the chat. A big shout out to Doreen and Emily for always showing us love on the timeline. We appreciate everyone tuning in today. And as always, it's Go Bucks and OH.
Ayo.